Only thing I fear is God, and He on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause He got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. That's all you got.
All right. How many are reminded, even by that song, that you can't be stopped? This is a shout out and an opportunity for young people, teenagers, children, and parents, and even youth leaders to be reminded that we have a lot of folks that are resilient. They have survived things that you have no idea what they've had to walk through to get where they are. This show is to encourage you, to lift you up, to give you strategies, and to give you tools to use where you can get through anything in life. You can't be stopped. Y'all need to tell everybody that whatever comes your way, okay, you missed the bus today. Whatever comes your way, you don't have enough clothes to make it to back and forth to school. You can't be stopped. So once again, this show is to remind you and to be an encouragement. Join us as we will have special guests connecting to resources and information for you to get through the hardest years of your life and make the best out of it. You can't stop me.
Hi, welcome to You Can't Stop Me with Yo. And it is the day before Father's Day. Yay. Yes. Yay. We couldn't be here without them. So women, stand down. Represent. Support. It's somebody that's doing a good job around you in your life. I know a lot of daddy haters out there. I don't hang out with them at all. I am not into that. I believe that there is a role that a man plays in not just the home, but in the lives of children and women. So never been my position at all. So again, today is the day before Father's Day. Yes. And we talked a little bit last week in preparation, knowing that Father's Day was coming. As a country, nationally, we go like all out, no hold back. I mean, you borrow some money to get your mama something on Mother's Day in a card. But I want people to be as intentional about thanking fathers too. And again, you may not have that person in your life or in your kid's life, but there's somebody around you that's doing an unbelievable job or that has left an impression on your life where you can genuinely, sincerely say Happy Father's Day. Whether it's the guy at the grocery store or somebody that you work with on your job, you see every day, juggle multiple things and handle working around women all day. You know, y'all, we can be a handful. Well, let me rephrase that. Y'all can be a handful. I'm just yo-yo. And, yep, you dropped 2 mics on that. I've been fortunate that pretty much guys have been my best friends most of my life. And so sometimes I have a little bit more intel than the average chick. Oh, Audrey, you're adorable. You look so cute. Oh, you're so cute. I couldn't help it. Oh, look at that face right there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So let me introduce the person sitting next to me. I have been very fortunate to come in contact with just some unbelievable people. And this one here, she'll ride or die. You can take her anywhere, and she gonna blow up the room and not even know that they won't even know what happened. They just know Audra Carson was in the house.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I'm gonna break all that down before we done. So I have Audra Carson with me, who I am very fortunate to call a friend, a associate. She inspires me and motivates me to push beyond the norm because she is not the normal. She is the type of person that has so much on the inside of her. I know you weren't expecting all this.
Oh, goodness.
I know. I didn't read a bio. I could have went there. I could have did that. I'm being nice.
Okay.
She is the type of person that she has so much on the inside of her. She can release it at any given point. You know how you have to prep people ahead of time, beg on, punch, massage them. Come on, you can do it. Audrey, like, what you need? And I need and value people like that in my life. So again, this is You Can't Stop Me with Yo. And my guest today is Audra Carson. I'm going to let her talk a little bit about the thing that she's connected to that just literally blew my mind and changed my life to know that God handpicked her to be the one to launch such an unbelievable thing in this community and across this country. But today's show is what her and I refer to as Daddy's Girls. So we got some conversation to have with you all.
Yes.
Gonna let Audrey talk a little bit and tell you what's going on, and feel free to shoot us some messages on Facebook for those who are watching live on today. And again, this is You Can't Stop Me with Yo, and today's show is dedicated to our dads and fathers all over the world, because this show is aired in more than just one country. And so again, Daddy's Girls, and today my guest is Audrey Carson.
Thank you, Yo. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and all of the things and accolades you said about me.
True.
I mirror them back to you. I mirror them back to you. So,
True.
I thank you. Just a little bit about what I do. This is a mission that chose me. I definitely didn't choose it. And it is to bring solutions to the global problem of tire waste, post-consumer tire waste, and more specifically, tire blight. Tire blight is something that plagues urban communities and rural communities as well. People feel like they have the space, they don't want to pay to have this form of waste disposed of, so they come in our communities and they dump these tires by the thousands.
Because when we were coming up, a lot of times, the only time we really saw a tire was when we were changing them, of course. I remember rolling them up the street, remember? And then for swings.
For swings, yeah.
And so we are in a different time now where people are not disposing of things the right way. So talk about that just a little bit, what that has pushed you to do.
Well, and then also, too, you go from a time where maybe there was one car in the family or not one, right?
So it's the excess of it, too.
Excess,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, the consumerism, and especially here in Metro Detroit, we love our cars.
We Motown, baby.
Yes.
Yeah,
and so it's in our DNA. And so we collect cars.
That's right.
And we're kind of the template for the world. Arguably the automotive epicenter for the world. And so we are part of the problem, right? And so it makes sense and it's prudent for the solution to come from this region as well. And I feel like I'm one of those solutions.
You are.
And thank you. And so what happens is people feel like, they don't want to pay that fee. The tire companies, when you go to get tires changed, you pay a fee. And then after that, certain things happen to certain communities, and they don't end up where they need to be.
Do people even know how to dispose of this stuff, though?
The average person, I believe they know. If you live in the city of Detroit and it's bulk day, you have an opportunity to put 4 tires out per address. Okay. And then if you have more than that, then you need to speak to a tire hauler. That tire hauler needs to be registered with the state of Michigan. Which I happen to be, and other people that I know. But it's a huge problem. It's an environmental problem. It's a health and safety problem. Tires are flammable once they are engulfed in flame. Oh my goodness, because of their composition.
I didn't know that.
And tires can burn for months, depending on the size of the pile. And just some tire nerd facts for you. There is, on any given day, at least 1 million tires that have been dumped in the city of Detroit. I can take you to a pile that's 200,000 tires, right in the middle of the city.
Wow.
Okay? And then the other part of that is...
So our companies, and again, stay with us. This is Audrey Carson. She's my guest on today's show for You Can't Stop Me, and we're dedicating the show to our dads, but I need you all to understand how unique she is, because a lot of her thoughts and her courage has been influenced by her father.
Of course.
And so I want to give people a frame of reference so they understand just the scope of what you see and deal with every day, because it's not the average chick type stuff. And who would have ever thought behind this mastermind is a lovely lady like yourself?
Well, thank you. And it's a mission, and
because even in that work field, you're around people who you got to remind them who you are.
Yes, it's a lot of disrespect.
Yeah.
And a lot of people discount my knowledge. But I've been, as I stated, nicknamed the tire nerd, and there's a reason beyond that, for that. And so this is something that I am going to have a state-of-the-art facility here.
I know that's right.
And it is going to employ people. It is going to pay them well. And we are going to be part of the solution to this
Don't be
problem.
texting and asking for no jobs, y'all. Because I already know where some of the viewers are going. Okay. Go ahead, Audra.
Yeah, so it's just a pleasure to be here, and you allow me to have this platform to talk about that. But, ultimately, the invitation was brought based on our dads.
Yeah.
And I proudly identify as a daddy's girl.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, with no shame. And at the age of a ripe, beautiful age of what I am, 51, I proudly still describe myself as a daddy's girl. So yes.
Cool. So I want to give people an opportunity to, I see everybody who's joined in. Hi, cool. So good to see everybody. Hey, Ash and Rhonda, glad to see you. And of course, Douglas, we appreciate your all continued support. I want to give people an opportunity to, if you're on Facebook Live, to chime in if you want to send us some of the things that, invaluable lessons that you have learned from your fathers or things that your dads have taught you. We're referencing specifically, I say daddy's girls, because what's unique about, Audra and myself, I'm the eldest in the family. Audra's the baby.
Yes.
And the only girl, right?
Yes.
Ooh, so you for real daddy's girl.
Oh, for real.
So talk about that a little bit, what that was like growing up.
Well, I mean, birth order, it makes a difference. It does, and I'm not going to say that I didn't have a charmed life. My parents, they had the two, and they spaced my brothers nicely. And then they patiently waited, and they hoped for a girl, and here I came, so
Ta-da.
ta-da. And
So you had your brothers looking out for you.
Oh
and
yes,
your dad.
oh yes,
Wow.
and cousins on both sides,
Wow.
and it was the charmed life. It was, and my dad, who worked for General Motors for.
And my dad worked for Chrysler.
Okay, yeah, that automotive background, and so he worked for General Motors for 48 years. But when he was early in his career there, they didn't pay all that much, right? But when I came along, the money started getting a little
That's
better.
right.
But he went and he got a part-time job right when I was getting ready to be born because he knew he was going to need some extra loot.
Little Audra was going to require a little extra daddy.
So, and he still works at that company, one of the companies that was under his janitorial service to this day. At 84, he still works for that company.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Wow. And so even when I think about the similarities, so again, my dad was at Chrysler, and you're absolutely right. It wasn't, we weren't out shopping all the time. And I agree, we led a quality life because I think our parents knew what to do with the money.
Yes.
But do you remember when, if he ever got laid off?
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit, because I remember what layoffs looked like in
Yeah,
our house.
it was used. The term today means something very different. If you get a layoff slip, I don't think
You don't go back.
You don't go back.
But layoff was just hold out. We'll be calling y'all back in a little bit.
Yes.
Production is slow. We're going to cut one shift, or we're going to go low on a shift. But you didn't lose your job. You're
didn't lose your
absolutely
job.
right. I didn't think about that.
You got called back. And so you didn't know exactly when, but you did get called back. So going through all of that, the uncertainty.
Wow.
But my father stood strong, and I'm sure yours did too, and other fathers here, who had to endure that. One thing that stands out about my dad, and with him getting hired in the automotive industry, he used to tell a story. He walked from like the Grand River Boulevard area all the way to where Telegraph and Plymouth, over that. He would walk over there to ask for a job. Okay, and he did
Do
it.
you know, that's like
Yeah.
a day's walk.
Yeah, he would walk and he would ask for a job for this person, week after week, and this man would call him the N-word and tell him we don't have any work for N-words, right? And he still did it, and he kept going, and finally this gentleman, the guy who was over hiring, said, N-words, you must really want to work, so I'm going to give you a job.
Wow.
And that's how he started.
Wow.
In the automotive.
Wow.
Working in the plant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my dad coming home with that. It was like a white piece of. It looked like tissue to me or a napkin with the rubber, with the band on it, because the plants were so hot.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just remember never complaining, but I remember he would talk about if it was 80 outside as he was getting dressed, how many more degrees it was going to be in that plant.
Yes.
When he got there, and knowing that he was going to have to be in it all day. So sometimes it'd be like 100, 102 degrees.
Yes.
Like we close schools now when the index gets to like 90. But my father, and I'm sure yours did too, and the majority of our dads
Yes.
who worked in the plants, and I remember watching them come out,
Yeah. Yeah.
watching them come out with their lunch bags, and we'd be waiting in the car, But I just remember the willingness to go to work to take care of their family.
Yes.
And my dad got the job at Chrysler when he was 19 years old, and it provided a means for him to be a good husband and a good father and a provider in the home for us. But so again, this is You Can't Stop Me with Yo, and this is Daddy's Girls show today. We're kind of dedicating it to fathers and the things that we've learned along the way and so forth. So I do want to talk a little bit. I learned how to work and not complain from my father, because when you talk about working, and even when recently there was some challenges in the space that I'm in around heat, I never complained.
Right.
Because I thought about my father, that if he can tolerate every day, and sometimes it'd be overtime,
Yes.
12-hour shifts, and come home and never complain. Because if that's what it took to make the money, he couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
He did it with pride and with joy. But I remember sometimes he put 2 of them on, and there weren't cooling centers
No.
in the plants.
No. Bottled water didn't exist, right?
Bottled water didn't exist. Why I didn't even think about that.
So the conveniences that we have today.
And we complain so much about everything. Most of us wouldn't even made it back then.
No,
We'd be like, I got to get another job. It's too hot in there. I ain't going back in there.
Right.
And your family, you come home to them every day and got to look at them and be like, but I need to do this. And I just remember him not imposing on us, feeling guilty, because that's what it took for him to make the money.
Right.
And I hope people are really listening to us today, because sometimes people, your family, your kids, they want to guilt you out because you're not willing to do certain things. And you want to, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. You want to make people feel bad for what you had to do for them, and it's not their fault. I hear and I see a lot of parents, if I ain't had no kids, I wouldn't have to be bothered with such and such. And I don't remember ever feeling bad.
Right.
Because I existed.
Right.
It was yeah. Thank you, dear Gordon Brooks Sr., for loving us enough to go into places that were scorching day after day and for an entire summer week. There was no reprieve.
No, there wasn't.
There was no reprieve. And my dad was going, I don't know where your father had to go. He was in Warren, Michigan. And at that point, Warren, Michigan was notoriously known for being very prejudiced. And so he ought to also deal with that part of it as well.
Yes.
And I just watched him model good work ethics for me. I watched him get up early. I watched him not just go to work, but get to work early and on time. I watched my granddad, who worked at Uniroyal, do the same exact thing, his father. And so to all of the dads who are on point and doing what you got to do, whether it's a custodial job, whether it is going someplace that you're not absolutely proud of, to tell people where you work every day. Do what you have to do to model and show some integrity to your children and to those that are watching, that good hard work pays off. Start your own business. Like you said, he supplemented his income by starting his own business.
So he did janitorial work. And so that's cleaning toilets, right?
Break that down. I know that's right.
It's dignified work, right? And he was able to keep our family at a certain level of comfort. Okay, so back then, you got outfits for July 4th, all that stuff. So we were able to, make the trek down to visit the family in Alabama every year.
That's right.
I'm sure my parents left. Sold into the family down there when they were there, and so we had a very comfortable life. And my dad, he left the house. His khakis were starched, right? Now he did have a Jethro lunch though, right? It wasn't a little lunch bag; it was a grocery bag. Right?
I remember that.
And it was, a Jethro lunch.
Yeah.
And, but he made sure that he had everything, so he wasn't looking for any food. So if he needed 3 sandwiches for that.
Because a lot of times they didn't have time to be leaving out to try to go get nothing to eat and all of that stuff. What they had is what they had.
What they had is what they had.
And was vending machines even out back then? I don't think so.
And if they were, they probably, had cigarettes in them and stuff like that, right?
Because cigarettes.
It was the whole
machines.
Yeah.
Ooh, girl, you telling all our business. Ooh, I felt that. Had to dust the cobwebs off of that one. If you gonna go there, what about when you used to pull up and you always got your gas pump? Self-serve wasn't even existent.
Always. Right.
People came out. Ding, 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 ding.
Clean
you would roll
windshield.
Across the little thing. People would come out and pump your gas.
You waited, and they came out. And the guy had his little rag in his
Remember?
back pocket.
Yeah.
And he would clean the windshield while he was pumping.
And
the
you're
gas.
right. That was the only thing really in the vending machines that didn't pop.
Because it wasn't a lot of snacky type things, right?
Even created yet.
Right.
I remember putting hot sauce in a bag of chips because they didn't have barbecue chips or open pit.
Right.
Do you remember doing that?
Yes.
Shaking it up in a bag.
Yes. So snacky type stuff. So you whatever you took with you, you got it from the house, right? So a whole different era. But my dad had such dignity, and his older brother, who was his best friend, who I'm named after, Dell. My middle name is
really?
Dell. My uncle's name was Lee Dell. And so they were best friends, and they both worked for General Motors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, yeah. So I want to talk about things. And again, this is You Can't Stop Me with Yo. My guest today is Audra Carson.
Hello, everyone.
Name of your company. What's the name of your company?
The name of my company is D-Tread.
D-Tread. And she was talking about that earlier about what she does with tires, and y'all don't understand. She really played it down. If we get time to talk about it more, we will. She really played it down. There's some unbelievable things that she's doing. But I do have some folks that have chimed in. I'm going to read some of the things. We're asking you guys, because we're dedicating this show to dads. And so this is all about daddy's girls. I am the eldest of 3 kids, so my dad had me first. He was so blessed and lucky. The angels and the heavens opened up. Woo! I'm just teasing. And Audra was the baby of the family and also the only girl. So she talks about how somewhat privileged.
Oh, I had a charmed life, and I don't take it for granted. Maybe even up to 17. I really didn't talk much, right? So when
you didn't have to.
I didn't have to because I was
when you
catered
needed
to.
something, they
were probably 87%. On point, and that's a good solid B on the way to an A, right? So I didn't have to talk much, and I didn't.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit, and again, we just finished talking about the work ethics that we've learned, and I would say the same for you when we talked about our dads going to work in the heat, because you're in the heat too.
Ooh, yes.
I know. I remember that one day you came when you said, "Hey sis, how you doing?" I said, "How you doing?"
And it's great.
We learn not to complain.
I learned not to complain. I mean, this is something that chose me, and this is part of the ugly part of the journey. And all of it will all work together to glorify God and uplift everybody. Uplift the community. So if I gotta feel like it's 300 degrees and throw some tires and have tire juice fly on me and the people that work with me. That's a small
they just don't know.
A small thing to do to be able to glorify God the way that I have been instructed to do.
They just don't know. And so we talked about that. I know it taught me not to complain about everything. And I'm not being funny, but I know some folks that complain about every single little thing in their life. And I know the Bible says, in everything give thanks, because this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. I can give you scripture after scripture, but I'm saying don't complain just because somebody did it for you.
Yeah.
And so we started talking about that earlier. Dudes, do whatever is necessary to take care of your family.
It's dignified.
Do it.
It's
I mean,
dignified.
and let me rephrase it. I ain't saying go out and hit nobody in the head, because I got to give some clarity and some boundaries to something. I'm not saying do illegal stuff. I'm saying if God puts in your path to get up and go to work and honorably earn your pay, and like she talked about her dad starting his own business, my dad and mom started selling Amway to supplement the income. And, you know, I learned a lot. I learned how to interact with people, all types of people. I learned how to, again, and I said this in a previous show some months ago, my teachers in middle school were running from me because I was selling LOC, SAA, artistry. When they came out with the jury line, they were like, Yolanda, we're not buying anything else from you. I was outselling some of the people, the adults on my dad's and them team. I learned how to draw the circles and talk about the business and sign people up. Of course, I couldn't, but I learned customer service, and I learned how to engage all types of people. My dad gave me Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, when I was 11 years old. And so to have the foresight to be able to equip me with what was needed. So I just want to encourage men, and again women, sometimes you got to stand down. You're looking for perfection, and you're looking for people to be that perfect person. There is no perfect man, no perfect woman, no perfect mother or father, because you all fall real short all the time. All of us do. And sometimes we want to hand design what the father is or the mother is going to look like, but God has a way of giving us what we need. And if you don't have it in one person, he's placed other people in your life to fill that void. So I do want to encourage you all, stay the course and do what's necessary to create a pattern and a trend for your family, especially your young ladies, to follow. So I want to talk about two things before we go too far. I want to talk about patterns that our fathers set in regards to relationships to men, and patterns that our fathers have set and can set for those of you who are out there listening around finances. And so I watched my father. I was never and will never tolerate a man screaming and talking to me any kind of way. I'm just going there because I ain't used to it.
No.
And I ain't trying to throw shade on nobody. I can only speak to my life. So that's the only thing I'm responsible for right now. I am not accustomed to somebody putting their hands on me, raising their voice to me, or talking to me any kind of way, because that's not what I was not the pattern, the blueprint for how I'm going to engage with a man. That was not what my father said.
Right.
And he was very intentional. He would look at us, and I said this before, sometimes he would look at us and say, I want you all to see me love your mother. Because that's what I want for you when you're in a relationship, when you get married.
Yes.
I want you to be able to know that that person loves you and you love them back. And so it was nothing for me to see my mother and father give each other a hug, and they didn't go all in. They have to put a rating up.
Right.
Because sometimes we need to be mindful to show some discretion.
Yes.
Because your kids are watching. And again, I hope the right people hear this today. Even if I lose you as a viewer, your kids do not need to see everything and know everything.
Exactly.
I don't care if it's your house. It was my parents' house too. It was your parents' house too. We didn't have to know all the nitty gritty down and dirty. Audrey, you just have to jump in, because
Right.
I would go there.
And you know, my home life was very similar. You know, to this day, you know, I'm not going to argue.
I know that's right.
Now I will debate you on some things, and we will
listen
both
and come
live.
back to it.
Yeah, we both will leave better for it. But I'm not going to argue.
You ain't taking me off my square.
And I didn't grow up seeing that.
Trying not to say
right?
the word.
But the what I did see, the patterns you talked about, finances. That's when people got a paycheck, right? They went to the bank on Friday, right?
I saw that.
Right. So
And then we went to Bonanza afterwards.
well, what
Right
my
there on 8 Mile.
what my parents did, they went in the bedroom, right? And so they put on, they used the envelope system which
to put the bill money in.
And so they each got an allowance, right?
Yeah.
And so when the door was like ajar, you know, you kind of peek in and you see that. And
we all peeked.
Yeah, you peeked. And so that was what was going on. And so the money, you know, my parents were able to invest in property and real estate and all these things. But the thing, my dad was only able to go to 6th grade.
Wow, break that down, girl.
6th grade. Why? Why was that? Because he picked cotton well.
Wow.
He picked cotton well.
Wow.
So his education
Wow.
was thwarted.
Wow.
Because of the time in which he was born.
Wow.
Their mother died when they were young, and so their father raised them, and then he remarried. But my father, a 6th grade education, and this man is the most intelligent, brilliant man that I know, right?
Wow.
To be able to take what he was able, to get, and to build upon that, and to pour into his children, and to allow them to go to college.
With
and
a
that sort of
6th grade
thing.
education,
6th grade education.
experience in picking cotton, working at GM, put the money up, start his own business, invest. And so again, and I'm trying to just pull out some of the main points because we make so many excuses.
Yeah. Think
We
about
don't
it,
want to
yo.
give up nothing.
Think about it,
We want to
yo.
wear what we make and put something up.
Think about it. The conveniences that they didn't have, right?
But yet they still succeeded.
They still succeeded. Community. My dad is still the president of the Block Club.
Girl, shut up.
Although
Are you serious?
It's very
Are you
few
for
people.
real?
But and so my mom.
And he volunteers because I'm sorry, I got to break
Yeah.
it down because people so busy, Audra.
Yeah, and
they can't do anything unless you paying them.
Right.
And I'm not used to that.
Right, and so my mom, they created the Junior Block Club, and so the Junior Block Club held court, and the Adult Block Club, and so my mom wrote the handbook for the new elementary school is what was being built in our community, and so that whole piece of community engagement, that's what we
Doing
call
more
it
than
now.
just going to work and coming home.
Yes, that was the fabric.
But look at the outcome of that, and you're the product of it. And so again, I'm trying to be very transparent. I'm going to read some of the comments. I asked you all to chime in, those that's watching Facebook Live today. Again, this is You Can't Stop Me with Yo. And this is about daddy's girls and all about Father's Day and just honoring some of the things that most people would think the kids didn't notice. So you realize if we noticed it and we're talking about it and it shaped our life, it's shaping your kids' lives too. Your nieces, your nephews. And I got a lot of y'all that's watching say, yo, I ain't got no kids and my kids are grown. You know what? You're not off the hook.
Right.
Because guess what? My kids are grown too. And I still have to make sure I'm mindful and conscious about the breadcrumbs that I leave for other people and even other parents who have to walk through some of this stuff so that people don't feel like they're lost and overwhelmed every single day. But we are specifically identifying with being daddy's girls and the lessons that we learned along the way. We were just talking about the pattern that they said as far as relationships go. So truth of the matter is, whether it's a personal relationship or working relationship, I just can't tolerate, and I'm not going to do well in a conversation where someone's trying to raise their voice at me and definitely don't think you're going to touch me. It's not because I wasn't conditioned for that.
Right.
My father told me that no man should talk to me a certain way. And so I've patterned any relationships I've been in.
Yes.
After that.
Yes.
Because daddy told me some things.
Yes.
My daddy made sure that if my car wasn't running, I would be able to identify what was wrong with my car and why it wasn't running. But if these are the nuggets and the transparencies that our parent allowed us to be able to see, but also watch my mother let my father lead.
Ooh.
Now, girl, I know I lost some viewers. Y'all can do whatever you want to do.
And
Just sign off. But I'm gonna tell the truth.
The beauty of that, and my mother was not a mild mannered, weak woman. She was sweet.
Yeah, break it down.
But she had
She would let him do his.
She was strong. But she would let my father lead, okay? And my father was a quiet man. He talks more now than he ever has, but she let him lead.
Wow.
And that's what we saw. And so, in with allowing my mate to find me, and I still remain hopeful in that. I have it within me is to allow the man to be the man in the house and
No,
lead.
that's right. I ain't chauvinistic either.
Right.
He can be the man in the house. He can be the man with the bills.
Yes.
He can be the. When we talked about that road
Yes.
trip.
Yes.
We can't even go there on
Yes.
the air because I don't want
Right.
folks chiming in and
Right.
trying to get Yo and Audrey on the road trip
Right.
because they
Right.
don't understand our philosophy behind
Right.
what we were talking. But he can drive the car.
He can drive the car.
I can sit in the passenger
Yes.
car.
And it's okay.
Chivalry is not dead.
Yes.
Let me.
It's not.
I'm a resuscitated. Chivalry is not dead.
It's not dead at all.
It's some
And
women out there who say, you know what? Now, hold up. I ain't going off the cliff because you crazy. You got to be able to lead. Because I'm not going to get to this phase in my life and just forget everything we know. You got to
Right.
be able to lead.
Right.
So that's the other thing. Sometimes we have to stand down. We'll never see the true essence of a man and a father if you're not willing to stand down. And this is the other thing my dad and them taught me. If something is broke down in front of the kids don't have to know. They took it in the bedroom.
Yes. Yes.
My mom didn't make my dad look bad in
No,
front of us.
no,
She didn't
no.
take his power away.
No.
I know I'm going to lose some viewers. Y'all can do whatever you want to do.
No.
The truth is the truth all day and night.
Yes. And so, I didn't see.
I know they fixed it.
Oh yeah, they fixed it. I was like,
Because sometimes they say y'all going outside to play.
going outside and play. But what I did see, and this still blows my mind to the day, my mom's last doctor's appointment. My dad dressed my mom and got her ready. And when I got over there, I thought I was going to have to do that. But he had the right jewelry on, because my mother was such a lady, and it was you always present yourself in the best way possible. And so when she was going through her decline, this is what he did, and he didn't allow a nurse to come in. My dad took
It was his work.
took care of my mother, right? Like a king. But the beauty, the thing, I didn't see them arguing or debating or anything, but what I did see, my dad used to pay my mama's tolls.
Girl.
I would come over there visiting.
He needs to do some classes for some of these guys out here now.
I'm not going to
Because
do
I'm okay with that.
I knock on the door. I say, hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? Go back of the house. They might be in the family room, and my dad is painting my mother's toe. That
Girl, that's
level of
good.
intimacy,
And humility.
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 It
Because
was-
even in the church, we was just talking about this. I was on the phone with Sister Christine. A lot of churches ain't even washing feet no more. Because it's kind of hard to fight when I'm washing your feet.
Right.
It's hard for me not to forgive you when I have to.
Humble
Ooh,
myself
girl.
and bend my back.
But what an unbelievable position to take for a husband and a wife. I remember my dad preparing my brother to be a good husband and a father and to respect my mother. Because, they always tell you, if you're going to date somebody, find out how he treat his mama first. Well, I remember, because my brother was the youngest, I remember my dad saying, Dira, when he got his little job, he said, you make sure you give your mama some money. To put your ties up and you make sure you put some in your mama's hand. I remember hearing him say that. But people don't understand. My father was conditioning my brother to be able to support his family later on down the road. That you give your wife the money so she can take care of X, Y, Z.
Yes.
I remember, and my brother was little. He was able to get a job at Curry's Party Store because he was really good with money and machinery. He was like 10 years old working all of the lottery and everything. People could barely see him. But he had integrity. But I also remember my father telling my brother, what he should always do for my mom. Even when he didn't know we were listening. The allowance my dad would give us. And, I remember he would say, now you all have to decide how you going to spend this and what you're going to have left. And if you're going to save it and what you're going to, I'm going to tell you how much he was giving me.
I get it.
But it taught me how to manage my money.
Yes.
I've been on my own since I was 17. I ain't never been put out.
Yes.
Because I watched my daddy. He would always say, and Douglas said this too on Facebook. He said 2 lessons I've never forgotten from my dad. 1, he said, son, you have to go to work. Somebody's daddy need to tell
Yes.
them this. Y'all need to be telling y'all kids this now, so they're not in your basement when they 35. Thank you, Douglas. The second thing he said, his lessons that he learned from his dad would say, "Son, pay your bills."
Oh. Yes.
I just want to
Yes.
let the air just consume that statement.
Yes. Yeah.
He didn't say go buy some gym shoes.
No.
He didn't say hang out. He didn't say go get you a new suit and
Pay your bills.
pay your bills. Do you know, still to this day, before I do anything that's even connected to having a good time or pleasure or eating out, I pay my bills first. To this day, I will go
Yes.
without lunch money,
Yes.
but I make sure my bills are paid first. Going back to what you said, we learned from our dad. See, they would go in the bedroom and do the envelopes. See, my mom and dad, the dining room was the hub.
Yeah. Yeah.
She get the checkbook out the china cabinet. Anybody remember china cabinet?
Yeah.
We had no china. We didn't always had china in
Right,
it.
right,
But we had the china cabinet.
At the china cabinet. Yes.
That was for the china and the
Yes.
silverware.
And the good
The good
silverware.
stuff.
Yes.
The stuff you just look at.
Yes.
But I remember her getting the checkbook out and them sitting at the dining room table and they figuring out what bills can they pay. And I don't remember the arguing.
No.
I don't remember. And so again, this is You Can't Stop Me with You. And my guest today is Audra Carson. And this is all about Daddy's Girls and the lessons that we learned along the way. I've asked you guys to be able to chime in and share some of the things that you learned along the way as well. That our dads just taught us. And I do want to make reference. Rhonda said that her husband works in 100-degree weather every single day, and he never misses a day of work. Arizona hot heat building bridges.
Amen.
Not
Amen. Salute your husband. That
Tell
is a
somebody
blessing.
thank you for doing it. And my thing is, again, we said before, doing it and not complaining.
Yes.
So again, they would do it at the dining room table, but I was able to witness a coming of minds. And sometimes she'd be like, Gordon, we got to pay this one this time.
Yeah.
And sometimes she negotiated and said, but the kids are going to need some more shoes. Coming to an understanding and not saying, well, why'd you spend so much here or somebody else's fault? It's so many things.
Yes.
Lessons that I've learned along the way.
And you mentioned the dining room table. The dining room table was also a hub in my house, my parents' house, but it was a different kind of hub, right? So as the extended family began to get older and get married, my parents counseled couples at that dining room table.
At that dining room table.
About their money.
Wow.
Don't let people out in the street
your business
talk about
too.
your wife to you. Don't let nobody come to you talking
You
about
remember
your
hearing it?
Whew.
Wow.
So as the extended family and my mother and my father, they were the glue for the extended family. And they used that dining room table. That was the counseling area. And, to this day, there are many people who, they call dad pops, they grew up with my older brothers, three different generations.
Wow.
My older brother was 12 years older than me, middle brother 5 years older than me. So we're very kind of distinct generations there. And, these people look very kindly upon my parents and my dad.
And so even when you talk about how people revere and look at your dad, the other thing is, a lot of times we want to equate things that you have to have money for people to respect you. On my daddy's brokest days, he walked with integrity and dignity, and he told me, this is what my father told me. He said, yo, don't nobody have to know your business. They ain't got to know you broke.
Amen.
You don't have to look broke.
Amen.
And to this day, on my worst days, I dress up like I'm going to a party.
Yes.
On my worst days, when I say worst, when I'm at my lowest financially, you would never know it.
Exactly.
Because my father taught me, don't nobody have to know your business. They don't have to know. They don't even have to know where you getting your clothes from.
They don't have to know.
And so I watch go ahead, Audra. I do want to talk about when we get done about going to church.
Okay. A couple more things that stick with me.
You can't be polite with me. You just gonna jump in.
You're only as good as your word. Okay. So you be a man of your word. Be a woman of your word. Right. The other thing that's kind of comical is you don't answer to people yelling at you in the streets. So, example of that, if my dad is working on the houses across the street and my mother wants to talk to him, she's not yelling across the street, right? She
Or talking about him.
He over there working on the houses. If she needed him, she might say, "Spank, go get your daddy," or she may walk over there. But it's no yelling across the street and someone.
Because if you want somebody else to respect your father or your husband, you got to show them respect. Girl, I'm gonna lose some viewers today. I already know. I ain't thinking about y'all.
So,
You'll be back. They all come back.
So people yelling in the streets, yelling your name, and you're answering to that. And so just certain things, men who he felt weren't living up to what God needed them to be, he would say that they were a poor excuse for a pair of pants.
Ooh, I remember you saying that to me. A poor excuse for a pair of pants.
That tickles me. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So I would, again, this is You Can't Stop Me with Yo, and I got Audra with me on tonight, Audra Carson, and we're talking about daddy's girls and just things that we've learned along the way, lessons learned by our dads, and things that, we're being very transparent that you, sometimes as men, you may not feel like you're at the point or at the mark you want to be at, or you're able to provide the things you want to provide. But there's some things you have that don't even cost money.
Yes.
And I want to start with the first thing is integrity. Let your kids see you walk with some integrity. They shouldn't have to keep secrets because you kissing on this person and you married to the other one. All right, y'all can unjoin the conversation. Do what you got to do. But it's the truth all day and night. Yeah. You want your sons to be gentlemen, you have to expose them to gentleman behavior. If you want your girls to be ladies, expose them. Teach them how to treat their mother like a lady so they know what that behavior looks like. There was no blowing the horn and running out to the car.
Oh, no. Unacceptable behavior. They are not here for my daughter. They are not here for my daughter. So just a level of standards, of expectation.
We have dropped our standards, girl.
And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have my father.
I wish somebody would blow the horn, great, when my husband passed.
Ooh.
I said, if they can't get out the car, they ain't coming up on this porch. And I put the fear of God in them.
Yes.
I did.
Yeah.
Their dad didn't have to be there anymore. I knew with his, I put the fear of God in them. I wasn't going to have my young ladies look like whores and I'm raising them by myself. I wasn't, Douglas, I did see the message that you sent. I wasn't going to have them even come off like that.
No. And then what's crazy now is people have cell phones and they use them to communicate about nonsensical things. And they are coming to pick someone up. They don't even want to call and say I'm outside. They'll be on the horn. What kind of foolishness is that?
And it's normal.
What kind of foolishness?
There was a time you couldn't do anything unless you met the whole family.
Yes.
And I know people don't want to talk about that courting and all that. I think we're going to do a whole show just on that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because we still think about being in the passenger seat.
Yes.
And all of the other stuff. We're going to do a whole show just on
that. Just make up cute. Just take a little nap. Yes.
We're going to talk about that on the next show. I do want to hit on, if you don't want to raise Banjis. Yeah, I did. If you don't want to raise Banjis, don't expose your kids to that type of behavior. Even when my father was tired, and I just had this conversation with Christine the other day, we had afternoon service at our church when my dad was working overtime and working 7 days a week. Him and Larry Montgomery, even if it was for afternoon service at 4 o'clock, made sure they went to church.
Oh, yes. We
in such a different time. And I don't mean any disrespect. I don't know what other word to use except for lazy and selfish, and we got to get unbusy even when we physically tired. I'm not saying work yourself down till you pass out, but I'm saying somebody else They put the time in.
They put the time
and this
in.
is the outcome and the product from it that a lot of us are privileged and afforded the opportunity to make these type of life choices we have, drive the cars we want to drive, live where we want to live, because somebody wasn't too tired.
Yes.
And they didn't complain and fuss about it all the time.
Right.
Sometimes we in Facebook, God bless y'all, love you to death, but some things ain't for Facebook to approve of. That you worked a 12-hour shift and everybody got to be your cheerleader for you to just do what's right. You had the family, take care of the family.
Amen.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to.
Amen.
Told you got to jump in.
And I just think too, sacrifice. What happens now is because we have so many things that make life easy and convenient for us, we cut corners when it comes to our families. I can only speak to this to a certain level. I am single and I do not have children. Yet I pour into children, and I avail myself for my family.
And it's not always convenient, but somebody did it for us.
Somebody did it for us, and I remember the simple things. My dad worked really hard. He worked 2 jobs, but when it came time for family time, going to Edgewater Park. And piling the car up, all the kids in the neighborhood,
Town Club Pop,
yes,
and White Castles and top hats,
and all of the
faces
things.
up against the window,
Yes.
because we 3 on the lap, somebody in the back window, because we didn't have seatbelts back then,
right?
Remember?
Right.
Oh, we didn't have seatbelts.
We didn't have seatbelts.
And they just we wasn't dying in cars. Is it because people drove responsibly?
Well,
sorry,
I know they
keep
weren't.
going.
They weren't distracted by texting, but that's
So
just,
what was the seatbelt?
this? Yeah, and
That
I
was
do
the
that.
seatbelt.
Right,
You
I
know I
do
still do it?
Yeah, I do it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so just the sacrifices. Those weekends of gathering up community and making sure they went to
Not just your kids.
Lower Huron for the GM picnic, or all the different things that the sacrifices. And I know the parents were tired.
Wow.
They were tired. But they took the sacrifice and they poured in the kids. And, the PTA meetings. And one of my youngest memories was volunteering. Someone asked the question on Facebook, what's one of your youngest memories? I know I had to be either 4 or 5. And my mom had me at the Richard Austin office.
Richard Austin, wasn't that Secretary of State?
He ran for Secretary of
I
State.
remember that.
And so we volunteered for his campaign. And I remember someone had put me up on one of the desks and I was stuffing envelopes. And I couldn't have been more than 5 years old.
Oh, Audra. We're working early.
So just the sacrifice on top of the things that they were already doing. But involving the children in things. So it was that time, it wasn't always a lot of money, the time walking up to the park, teaching to ride the bikes and those type of things.
Teaching them how to ride the bikes.
And,
Can we talk about riding bikes and driving?
Yeah.
Because I've been driving since I was like 15. And so... again, this is You Can't Stop Me with Yo, and we have dedicated the show for daddies, girls.
Yes.
Father's Day is coming up. We want all the haters. Don't you be giving no mamas no cards. You're mothers. You're not fathers. There is somebody, some male in your kids' lives who you can say thank you to. And if not for yourself, say thank you. Say thank you because they were an influence in your life. There's a lot of folks leaving off the scene. They're not here as long. They won't be here maybe next Father's Day. There has to be somebody who left an impression on your life or some of these life lessons that we're talking about where you can tell them thank you. So I need my 4 minutes because we started at 1:07. Anyway, I remember my dad would get... like between his father and him, they would get a different car like every 3 years. And so Shelly Mack, if she's listening, she'll remember I had a green 4-door Chrysler. And don't be impressed yet. By the time it got to me, when my dad gave it to me, it was going maybe 22 miles per hour. I know, that was the fastest. That was speed. I was so glad to get that car. It was Yo-Yo's car. It was my own car. And I always felt like I had to be responsible and such pride because I knew how hard my dad worked to get it. I'm trying not to cry. We give our kids brand new cars now. Back in the day, they didn't give us brand new cars. They gave us used cars so we could learn how to take care of them.
Yes.
So we could learn what the oil sounds like when the
Yes.
engine's knocking.
Yes.
When you need to get an oil change and put some oil in there.
Right. So we like speed in our family. So I had a 1972 Nova with
Wow.
rust on one door, right? And my brother
You was
Chris,
glad to have it with you.
whew, my brother Chris and my dad, they took the engine that came in it and they switched out to a faster engine. They put a 327 in it, and I had my little mag wheels,
What?
and the raised white lettering on
What?
the Goodyear, and we put some bucket seats in it and a little cassette player. And I glad to have it.
Wow.
Glad to
Yeah,
have it.
I remember driving from our side of town, coming up 7 Mile, cutting down Sherwood to get to that Kmart's. I remember the responsibility I felt. The other thing my dad told me, and again, I want to say Happy Father's Day
Happy
officially
Father's
to
Day.
every dad that's out there that's showing up and trying your very best to get it right. I know sometimes women can be haters and not make it easy for you. I know. And sometimes some of us are stronger than what we want to be, and it feels like we're being too strong. We're just doing what's necessary. Women have always been strong, but now women want to tell you how strong they are and show off instead of just standing up to the plate and doing what you have to do to balance the team out. But I mention that because, and I want to also say officially to my father, Happy Father's Day, dear Gordon Brooks.
Happy Father's Day, Ali Carson Jr.
We want to make sure we get that in before we leave. Again, this is You Can't Stop Me with Yo. And my guest today was Audra Carson. This is all about daddy's girls, the things that we learn, patterns that our father set, and all of that. The one thing I want to, what's up, Javon? I love you. The Happy Father's Day, sweetie. The one thing also my father taught me was I represent the Brooks family.
Who? Yes.
And name was everything. And I
Yes.
kind of want to end the show with reminding people that there's a higher level. You're right, Tanya. We dropped our standards. There's a higher level of accountability that comes with when you leave the house. My
Yes.
dad used to always tell me, yo, you represent the Brooks
Yes.
family. Yo, you represent the
Yes.
Brooks family. So even though I might not have been having my best day, or I might have been struggling in school, at the end of the day, I had to, hold my head up and stick my chest out because I represent the Brooks family. And there was some pride that came with that.
Exactly. The same thing, my dad instilled in us. So it wasn't clowning in the streets and acting a complete and utter fool. If you did think that you wanted to try that, then you had something coming when you got home.
I know.
And so
that's a whole nother show. We're
Yeah,
gonna talk about when you get
so
home.
with me, they just had to tell me because I didn't want any trouble. So I kind of did what I needed to do to stay out of trouble. I didn't want to be in their
Wow.
on their bad side. So
Can you tell them one more time, Audrey, before we leave, the name of your business? Is there a web email or?
Yes, I own a company called D-Tread. And if you'd like to find out more about what I do, the website is de-tread.com. And just looking to do some things as it relates to recycled rubber and to have a global impact.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for chiming in. Again,
Thank
this is
you.
You Can't Stop Me with Yo. And this was all about daddy's girls and the things we learned along the way. I was just sharing that you all need to share this show specifically with women who might be raising boys. Share it with some dads who might not have nobody that's going to value what they did. Sometimes we don't go back and tell people thank you enough. Just share this show. Sit down and play it and let somebody listen to it so that they know the sacrifices that they made. For all the men that have left an impact in my life, Deacon Lamar, my father, Larry Montgomery, it's so many, Donnie Davis, it's so many people that left an impact, and Brother Taylor. And I just can't thank you all enough, my Uncle Harvey, for just leaving an impact and helping me be a better person and showing me what the expectation is in good men and what to not tolerate and be attracted to in bad men. Thank God I ain't got no losers in my life. Hey.
No busters.
No busters. We just talked about that. Yeah. So Audrey and Yo ain't down for no busters, but I'm up for good folks.
Oh, yes.
So thank you again for chiming in to You Can't Stop Me with Yo. And again, my guest today was Audrey Carson. To all of our dads, happy Father's Day. Enjoy your day. It is an unbelievable responsibility to be the head of the house and to set the standards for what your children need to pattern themselves after for the rest of their lives and for the rest of the generations in your life. Your name means everything.
Yes.
Your name stands for something.
Yes.
Hold on to it and hold your head up. Things are going to get better. Thank you so much and have an awesome day.
They try to shut us down and it ain't gonna slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me.
All right, y'all to be up on y'all feet by now after everything that you've heard on today. Join us and sign in and tune in on next week, Saturday at 1 o'clock for You Can't Stop Me, where you're going to be reminded you are not out there by yourself, that there's other folks that's beating down situations even bigger than what you ever imagined. You Can't Stop Me. Join us every Saturday as you tune in at 1 p.m. Thank you and have a great day.